So I'm going to try to answer a couple questions about hydraulic cylinders and making adjustments on them that I didn't know because I'm pretty new to hydraulic cylinders. So this one's from Tractor Supply. Obviously, it says County Line. It's a 3-inch bore and 12-inch stroke, category 2 pins. And what I was worried about was the location of these for the hydraulic hoses. This end has two. One's on the side. One is right here, okay? And down here, there's only one, and it's on the side. So what I wanted to do was use these plates and put them as close as possible so that you'll just have to imagine this with me, where this is raised up so it's in line with these holes, and then I put a pin through here and put a pin through this, and the pin comes out the other side, okay? So obviously this is just located here, is all I'm saying. And if I close the cylinder all the way and I had this located down here, this part of the body would actually hit up here. So I wanted this to fit inside there. It's not very wide here. It may be 4 or 5 inches, and I think that's fine. But if I have a hose coming out here, I have to make this much wider, okay, so my hose doesn't hit. And then what if it slips over a little bit this way? Is the hose going to hit? Because I can put an angle on it, but then I have all this width here, and then is that going to cause a structural problem where it's going to twist or bend? I don't know. I think the closer together, the better. So my question was, can I take this hydraulic cylinder apart here and then just rotate this 90 degrees to where this fitting is up here along with this fitting? Okay, so let's go see if we can do that. On this lower end, we have 2 fittings here and 1 fitting here on the side. I want to relocate this one up here so that it's in line with this one, so that these fittings where my hoses come out here are perpendicular to the pins. Okay, so I was asking one of the guys at Tractor Supply if I could relocate that, and he's like, I don't know, I'm not really a hydraulic cylinder guy. And I said, well, do these communicate? Are these 2 different purposes, or do they communicate on the inside? And he didn't know that either, so I thought, well, I'll just go figure it out. This was 150 bucks, so not real expensive. 3-inch bore is going to be a little slower than a 2-inch bore, I've learned, just because it's a bigger volume, but it should also be more powerful. So in other words, if I have a hydraulic pump on my tractor that's pumping fluid at a constant rate, if it's filling a real small cylinder like a 1-inch, it's going to fill it faster, so that rod's going to move faster, right? A bigger bore like a 2-inch is going to be even slower, because that same flow is going to be coming into a bigger bore now if I had a bigger cylinder on it, and so it would be slower. And of course this is a 3-inch bore, so it's even bigger than a 1-inch, much bigger than a 1-inch, so it'll be even slower than a 2-inch, of course. So the bigger the bore, the slower the stroke, but apparently the stronger it is, from my understanding. So I've actually already loosened these, and so we'll just pull these off. Incidentally, this is a 3/8 SAE, and you can see it just doesn't fit well. So this metric one actually fit. I don't know where these are made. I'm assuming they're foreign made, but this metric one, this is a 10 millimeter, and it fits perfectly. So that's what I end up using to pull these off with. So we'll pull this one off as well at the top here. And obviously they don't come that loose. I had to use the 1/2-inch drive to loosen them. But what I wanted to show you was that, yes, those do communicate. Hopefully this will come out in the camera. I'm going to pan back and forth because I can't see where the camera's showing. But you can see the light inside. So those, both of those, you could use either one of those to power the push side of the cylinder. Okay, so fluid comes in here, goes in there, high pressure fluid, pushes the piston this way, which pushes the rod out that way, right? This is the side that when fluid comes in here, it gets on the back side of this piston. So fluid comes in here and pushes the piston this way, which pulls the rod this way. Okay, so real simple, not any harder than that. I'm going to loosen these bolts. Incidentally, these are 3/4-inch bolts right here. And as you can see, my socket doesn't line up, so what we'll do is we'll just put this here and kind of turn that at 45, and now my socket's going to line up. I could do this with a wrench, but when you have one of these, why would you use a wrench? Okay, so let's get these off, and then we're going to see if we can twist this around 90 degrees successfully. Okay. Wow. Okay. 3 lights. This thing is no joke. This is a castrator. This is a nut stripper. This is There goes one. Wow, that was really on there. Okay. One more. 18 millimeter. Okay, that spun that one a little bit too, so I have to make sure these are sort of centered before I put them back. Now, I don't want this end to fall off, but it's already has a gap there. That's not the end I'm after. So I want to rotate this end up here where it's in line. Make ourselves a little bit of room there. Now, okay. Try to do this evenly. Like a piece of metal there. Okay. Okay, so there's the seal. Now that the seal's out, okay. Now, I'm just going to try to push on this. Okay, so that worked. So I just stood up and pushed this down and it locked in place. Okay, now I can kind of square this up a little bit by pushing it on the flat table. Let's put these rods back in. Now, I don't know what the torque spec is supposed to be on these, but that was obviously a lot, because that Harbor Freight Earthquake wrench is supposed to have 12 bazillion pounds of nut busting. Okay, it's like 1,200 foot-pounds of torque that it puts on bolts. But I don't know if that's really true or not. I've never measured it. I know it's pretty dang strong though. It'll rip off my lug nuts on my Dodge Diesel that are put on with 130 foot-pounds with ease. So these guys were really on there. Okay, so good, that question's answered. My holes are lined up now. Now I can put my rods in, my hoses in, straight in. And I'm not gonna bore you with putting all this back together, but now these two are lined up perpendicular to my pins here. And that's awesome. I couldn't be happier. Let's get this back together. Okay, so the overall length of the cylinder is important to this project, obviously. I got 22.5 inches closed. In order to open it, I can't pull it open like that. I'm gonna have to put it on the ground. Okay. Okay, and that's maxed out. So 22.5, this is a 12-inch stroke. So this should come out to 22.5 plus 12 should be 34.5. And center pin to center pin is 34.25 right there. So pretty close. But that's what you should expect if you're looking at a cylinder in a store and it says it's a 12-inch stroke and the center pin to the center pin, it's closed and it's fully closed. There's no metal showing. Yeah, you should be able to add the stroke number to it, to the closed position to get your open position. So that should give you a rough idea if you're just looking at cylinders in a store. Also, obviously, you have to take these caps off in order to allow for air to flow back and forth or to come out as you're moving the piston. Otherwise, it's pretty immobile. Ask me how I know. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and put these caps on, and we will... I'm not going to put the hoses on yet because I want to be able to mount this up and mock it up when I get my mounts for this welded on the tractor bucket. So we'll just leave it at this right now. And I've got to get these torqued down. Which I don't know what the torque spec is on it. It's just going to be a lot. Okay, this will all make more sense when I get it all together, but I could have mounted this part down here and have avoided the whole turning this part around so that both hoses came out here. Had I left this with the hose coming out the side, it would have been fine if I'd mounted this part down here because I have this hole where the hose could come out here in between these brackets like that, right? And then I could keep these brackets narrow with the hose coming out right here. Problem is, I didn't want this being up where dirt and all kinds of dust is going to sit on top of that seal and have to get wiped out over and over and over. I don't know if that's a thing or not, if that's a worry. But that's why I wanted to mount like this, so that any dirt that fell would end up falling here and collect here. Dust would get wiped off here, but dirt wouldn't be building up here if a big dirt clod or bunch of dirt came pouring over this side of it. Okay, obviously it's going to be super dusty behind the tractor anyway as I'm driving back and forth, just because tractors equal dust. That's just what they do. So, but it looks like this is going to work because now I have my hose hole here and my hose hole here, so the hoses can come straight back and go straight to the rear attachments on the tractor. Cool. Another step done.